Chapter 1. You are listening at FameTV.info. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Tonight, I want to find the most handsome guy. I don't lack money. Qi Yaoshi was holding a bottle of red wine and shouted. She forced a smile on her face, but tears still fell silently from the corners of her eyes. She had loved that scum for 5 years. But that scumbag had an affair and broke up with her because she didn't want to cohabitate with him, because she could not get pregnant. They had been together for 5 years. In the first 2 years, he had a fixed woman who he slept with. In the remaining 3 years, he had been entangled with her biological sister and slept happily together. Now, they still had the cheek to beg her for forgiveness and fulfill their wish. What utter trash. What a perfect match. Tonight, she was going to find a man who was thousands of times more handsome than the scum in this famous gold den and spend the night with him. She did not want any engagement or relationship. She wanted to be like all the female leads she had acted in before, domineeringly and resolutely throwing this disgusting past to the back of her mind. I want you. Qi Yaoshi locked onto the most handsome man in the room and snuggled into his embrace, feeling dizzy. She poked the man in the chest and stroked him thoughtfully. His figure was not bad. Can you be my boyfriend? Qi Yaoshi raised her head, wanting to take a closer look at the man's face. However, she was so frightened that she shivered and even sobered up a little. This person's eyes were so fierce and scary. But he was really handsome. His features were well defined and deep, and his hormones were strong. She liked it. Let's go, I'll take you shopping. Just swipe my card. Qi Yaoshi threw down the bottle of red wine heroically and hugged the man's muscular arms as she walked out. After pulling for a long time, she still could not get him to move. She was unhappy and her drunken face was fierce. I have money, accompany me. With that, she snuggled into the man's embrace like a cat. This person smelled so good and she felt so safe. Looking at the woman's pretty face which was flushed red from the alcohol, Li Qianming frowned. Chen Chen picked her. Ling Yu, who was following behind him, felt a chill run down his spine when he heard the cold question. He quickly checked the information again and nodded helplessly. It is indeed her. Who didn't know that N City's young Master Ming hated alcohol and women throwing themselves at him? Today, this woman actually did both, throw out. Under the dim light, Ling Yu could not see his president's expression and could only probe, but he saw Li Qianming pick up Qi Yaoshi, who was mumbling something with one hand, and push the door open to leave the clubhouse. Ling Yu adjusted his glasses in disbelief. He had been this man's secretary for almost 5 years, but he had never seen this man approach a woman. Was he going to break his abstinency tonight? Drink, Qi Yaoshi muttered. After confirming that she was being hugged, she buried her head into the man's neck and rubbed it back and forth. She used her remaining consciousness to think about why this man's skin was so smooth and smelled so good. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, don't move. Li Qianming wanted to stop the restless movements of the woman in his arms. However, when he lowered his head, his chin was lightly pecked. The sweet fragrance that belonged to a woman mixed with the ambiguous smell of alcohol lingered at the tip of his nose. Instantly, Li Qianming froze. Why don't you want me? I just couldn't give birth, so what if I can't? Her sobbing voice brought Li Qianming back to his senses. He avoided the woman's kiss and quickly entered the room through the password. He threw the person in his arms onto the bed. He turned to leave, but the woman hugged him tightly from behind. Zishuan, don't go. I don't want you to go. Hearing the woman cry out the man's name, Li Qianming felt irritated for no reason. Shut up. He turned sideways to get the woman who was hanging on him like a koala bear, but the woman grabbed his collar. Staring at the woman who was constantly in his arms and making a ruckus, Li Qianming frowned. Don't move. No, as if she could not hear any rebuttal, Qi Yaoshi's actions became even more unrestrained. She didn't know where she got the strength from, but she suddenly pulled the man's shirt apart and pressed her slightly hot face against his chest. Li Qianming pushed away the troublesome fellow in his arms impatiently and scooped her into the bathroom. He turned on the tap, and when the bathtub was full, he threw the ball into the bathtub without hesitation. The cold autumn water was bone-chilling. Qi Yaoshi shivered from the cold, her consciousness gradually becoming clearer. She froze when she saw the scratch on his chest. What did she do? Staring at the man's wet shirt that was stuck to his muscles, she couldn't help but want to climb out of the bathtub. But before her shoulders could leave the water, the man pressed her back mercilessly. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. Sight only. Qi Yaoshi struggled unwillingly, but that bit of strength was futile in front of Li Qianming. The drunkenness gradually eroded Qi Yaoshi's consciousness again. Unable to resist the large hand on her shoulder, she was angry and helpless. She touched Li Qianming's hand and cried pitifully, "I'll pay, Li Qianming. You're awake. Sign the prenuptial agreement." Qi Yaoshi, who was still in a daze, woke up instantly from the shock and stuck her head out of the blanket. Didn't she call a host last night? Could it be that she was drunk and made up nonsense about getting married to that person? Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.